Good evening. Welcome to the Leader's Edge. And tonight, we're in for a unique treat. Tonight is called a hosts only episode. Tonight, we're going to show you uh, the various experiences that the hosts of the show in season one experienced. Their most enjoyable, most memorable hosting experience, their most stressful ones, their wish list for who they may want to interview for season two, uh, some of their bloopers, and certainly many of their thoughts and feelings about being hosts. So it is our hope that this gives you a look into who we are as hosts of the show and helps you to enjoy future episodes for season two. This show is for you. Enjoy. Good evening. Welcome to the Leader's Edge. And tonight, we're doing a special show called The Hosts. Now, we're doing this because for a lot of you, you haven't really
Oh,
had a chance to meet who we
no,
are.
no.
And so we're going to take this special episode just so that you could get to know the hosts a little bit better. So I was thinking maybe we'll start out with the youngest member of our team. I'd like to invite Jet. Could you say a little bit something about yourself? How did you become a host and what experiences do you bring to the table for the Leader's Edge? Jet, you'd have to unmute yourself. Okay. Okay.
I think his bandwidth's really low right now.
All right. So
Is
this
it
looks like,
raining there? Because it's raining here.
oh, yeah. Rain does have an impact on the quality of our signals. So, Jet, if your signal is a bit unstable, I'll just skip over and go with, instead of the youngest, go with the oldest member of our team. So,
Wag naman.
sorry, the most seasoned member of our team. Yeah, like pepper and salt. Okay, Dinah, could you unmute yourself and tell us about how you became a host for the show and what you bring to the Leader's Edge?
Thank you, Dino. Initially, well, from the very start, I already volunteered to become a host. But at that time, there were several of you already. And since I was assigned as the admin for the talk show in charge of inviting our guest speakers, following up with them, doing the posters, the admin. So I decided to be in the background. But then our main host, Rock Cleo, really became super busy. Well, very successful, thriving career as design consultant, especially design thinking. So, well, I decided to pursue my plan anyway of becoming a host. So, finally, I was able to host two speakers. One for episode one and then one for episode, or rather, one for season one and the second for season two.
Well, you certainly have brought a lot of quality to the show. First of all, let me say you always were one of our most impeccably dressed hosts, and your
Yes, you are.
yeah, your warmth and friendliness always radiates in all of our episodes so far. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now I'd like to invite Boom to share how did you become part of the show and what special experiences did you bring with you?
How did I become part of the show? Well, first of all, you asked me to.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, what do I bring? Well, I have been a host, right? I mean, I hosted a TV show before, so
Yeah.
it's not that difficult to transition. and I am trying to come up with my own YouTube channel, and so this is also a good learning experience. It's also good. So what do I bring to the table? Well, a lot of craziness.
Yeah.
I'm off the cuff. Um, Sometimes it's unexpected, and yeah, and I like and those blooper reels. I bring that in too, right?
Yeah, that's true enough. I love your interview with Raju, for example. 'Cause we have a lot of bloopers from that episode. Yeah,
But you kept them in. You kept them in, right? They're lovely.
um, some of them.
Oh, come on.
Don't worry, we'll make an episode with nothing but bloopers from all the episodes from
Okay.
season one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. You're gonna edit this out, right? No, 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 just
No, no,
kidding.
no. We're keeping it because I wanted the show about host to be as freewheeling as possible and
Oh, cool.
as real as possible. I
Cool,
didn't want
cool,
it to
cool.
be too polished. So, Jet, are you?
I
Wow,
think he got booted out right now.
must be raining cats and dogs from wherever
It
he is.
it is. It's a good thing we have a good internet connection.
Mm-mm.
Ito.
So,
By the way, yeah. By the way, Dino, I remember the second speaker I hosted,
Yeah.
Eric Del Castillo. Oh
Yes.
my gosh, we gave him the surprise of his life. He did not know that we were mother and son. He just got so like, what? You are mother and son? Yeah.
Yeah. And
but
I've always felt a little bit insecure over the fact that you look way younger than I do.
ay, nako, it's the
Wait,
same thing with my mother. It's the same thing with my mother. They think I'm her older brother.
Yeah. Uh, it,
wait, Dino. I
it,
thought you were going to wear a cap tonight. You said you will wear a cap.
um,
Where's
yeah,
the cap?
well, it's here. The thing though is it has a logo of a company, and I did kind of want to give free advertising for somebody who isn't even our sponsor. So I thought
Oh,
that's fine.
but
People can look at
okay.
my head until we finally get some decent sponsors on our show. Then for
Okay,
now,
the
I
next
will go ahead.
time, next time you see me, I do have several hats here for you to choose from.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I believe that. I believe that.
Oh,
Um,
no flowers, no flowers. You know, for males. Yeah. Mm.
I
Oh,
hope
cool.
so. I hope so. In any case, I'd like to share a little bit about uh, who I am and how I got into this
Yeah.
show. I'd like to credit two people for
So
coming up. Yeah.
tell us a little about yourself and tell us how did you get into the show?
All right. First of all, I'd like to credit that to Mom and Rock Cleo because it was really the two of them who came up with the idea for the show to begin with. And when they started to think about who would host it, initially it was just Rock and me, and so we sort of rocked the show. You know, we took turns
Pun
alternating.
intended, right? Pun
Yeah.
intended.
from from one guest to another. We just took turns. And eventually we realized that as we made the pivot in this new normal, we both got busier and busier and we realized we just couldn't sustain a weekly hosting. So and that's when we reached out to others like you, like Mom, like Jet, who thankfully accepted. So it's been one heck of a ride. And um, I guess what really helped me is Kathy Alvarado, who was a churchmate from GCF, who believed in me enough that she asked me to be a co-host for a radio show for a year. That was called PEP, and that's how I kind of got started in hosting and interviewing, and I've been enjoying it ever since. So um, I just wish Jet had a stable
Connection, yeah.
yeah. But in any
Yeah.
case, even with just the three of us, I
Sure,
suppose.
why not?
Um,
Even if it's just me and Dina, it's okay.
oh, so let me start out by asking, and anybody can start. You just raise your
Mhm.
hand. Uh,
Okay, sure.
what was the most memorable episode for you? Like so. I realize that Mom has only had two, and Boom, you've had
One.
True.
that. I guess that
Yeah,
was
I was a guest and then I was a host.
yeah. So
Yeah,
who'd like to
yeah,
start
both.
with
Mm.
what was memorable about the episodes that you hosted? The stuff that you can't forget.
Okay, me.
Okay,
All
all
right.
right.
Mm.
Um, one of the things I couldn't forget was one of the things I couldn't forget was when I was interviewing. Of course, it was Raju. I was the host. That was the only show. It is just how I mean. It was just like a conversation with Raju, eh. And it wasn't like any interview because we are old friends, you know, and
True.
so being old friends, it was easier for us to connect, and it was like we were reading each other's mind.
Mm.
Okay, because I could tell that there were certain hints he was giving me
Mm.
as to what he wanted as a topic, even if we hadn't spoken. And then there were times that I was asking him questions, and then he would like, it was like he was telling me what I was expecting to hear from those answers, and I like that smooth interaction between us. That was one of the. It was a really annoying. In fact, I thought that the time was too short for both of us. If it didn't need to be moderated, it probably would have gone on for 5 hours.
Yeah. I can vouch for what you've said because I was in the background the whole time, and I
Yeah.
was just thinking the whole time, man, if the two of you were playing poker, you'd clean the table because you could really just read each other so well. you know so I agree
Yeah.
with you, that was memorable. Plus I love the heartfelt prayer that came from his heart during the
Mm.
taping of that show. To me, that was very touching, so that it was memorable because of that. Hey Mom, how about you? What was memorable for you from those two episodes?
Oh, I just feel so fortunate because the speakers assigned to me are both formidable and they were experts in their own fields. I It was so smooth. In fact, I don't even remember any glitches at all. It was just from beginning to end. It just ran so smoothly, and both the speaker and myself as host, uh, there was no difficulty at all asking questions, getting answers. So I don't even think there were any bloopers for the two episodes that I hosted. They were just so good.
Yeah, I know because you're such a seasoned hand at interviewing people, at making them feel relaxed, and that's why your transition from being show program director to co-host is just a hand in glove experience for you.
Mhm.
Incidentally, for people who don't know, Dinah used to work for Ansel International that made
Wow.
surgical gloves. So, indeed, they a hand in glove. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They are.
Okay, you need
Yeah,
to cut that out.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
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 Okay. They're not
No, just
sponsored.
kidding, just kidding.
Oh, Jet Ramos. He's
Yeah,
there. Jet Ramos.
finally
Yeah.
here.
Oh,
We're waiting for you to share your thoughts
yeah,
about your most memorable experience and how you
Yeah,
became.
I know I'm your most memorable experience, but go ahead.
yeah.
Oh, he's gone.
I tell you,
I
oh, I like the way. Okay, let me just say my choice of hosts. Of course, Dino, without any doubt, you have that professionalism, and you're a champion after all. But other than you, for me, no, yung the most engaging host is Boom, kasi he makes the show so lighthearted,
True,
and
true.
um, it's like so natural. There's no script. It's coming from his heart, and he also makes the speaker feel so comfortable,
Yeah,
and I
Yeah.
honestly, Boom, any host will find some kind of challenge when it comes to radio because it takes a particular personality to
Okay.
adjust to radio. Yeah.
I'm not going to edit anything.
Oh no, Raju's going to be listening to everything
Yeah,
you
yeah.
say.
Yeah. No, no, he's
Oh,
a challenging. No, no, because he's a challenging speaker. That's it. Uh-uh.
okay. I didn't get to talk about
Yeah,
my.
You,
you. Oh,
you,
what was the most
you.
challenging,
Ah,
Dino?
Okay. For me, um,
No, no. I
the most
mean, no, the
memorable.
most memorable muna. Yan,
Okay.
tama.
Of all the shows and all the guests that I got a chance to interview, the one I truly enjoyed speaking with was Irene Pag's
yeah,
Corpus.
yeah.
The
Mm-mm,
reason is that she's such a natural to being on shows.
mm-mm,
First, she was on time. Second, she had a superb virtual background that was even animated, so it looked like a curtain was blowing in the background. She looked so comfy, even though she was broadcasting from, I think it was Dubai. And she was so prepared with all of her answers to all of my questions that in my mind, it sounded as though she prepared ahead
mm-hmm,
for possible questions that I might ask. And
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so to me, that the fact that it was the smoothest, most stress-free interview experience I had made it unbelievably memorable for me. So
Mm.
I count that as my favorite episode that I hosted. So now that I've answered that, let me um, redirect um, to Boom.
All
For
right.
you, what was the most challenging thing about being a host for the show?
It wasn't. It wasn't the. I think the most challenging thing for me was not the hosting. Because like, hosting is like my second nature.
Yeah,
I'm genuinely curious.
Mhm,
So I mean, if I'm genuinely curious, I have this childlike curiosity. I'm always asking why. How did that happen?
mhm,
I'm very interested in the person. So
mm,
it's not really that. My challenge was when I was a guest.
yeah,
Why? Because I prepared this whole PowerPoint slide and I'm so used to running the show, facilitating the show,
yes,
mm, mm,
and then I had a host.
yeah,
Okay, I didn't have a participant. I had a host.
mm, mm,
So yeah, Jet was my host at that time. So what the challenge was, I wasn't talking to anybody except Jet, and I was doing a PowerPoint. I should have thinking back, maybe what I would have done differently is prepare the PowerPoint differently.
mm,
mm,
Okay, so that it doesn't make, because it will take the facilitator's mindset out, and I will be a guest this time. I will be the one they ask questions
mm,
to. So maybe, and then give the whoever is the host an advance of the outline and the PowerPoint and probably the questions to ask, and
mm,
that would probably help me a little more.
mm,
That will
mm,
probably help me a little more. So that's it. As a host, I think the only challenge, the minute challenge I had with what I think with most people I host really, especially online, is that sometimes their background is like the bedroom
yeah,
or the living room, or hopefully not the bathroom. So and it kind of I'm thinking already, what is the audience thinking about this, right? Especially if you're in the bathroom, that's a bathroom in the bedroom, um, filming while doing a YouTube video, and that gets me. I mean that not that much, but it does. I worry about these things sometimes.
mm.
Aesthetics, you know.
mm.
Okay. Hey, let me ask Mom. For you, what was the most challenging thing about being a host? Oh,
Don't
you're
think it,
okay.
I don't think it was challenging at all. It was something that I wanted from the very start, and then because I was given other roles to play, I stayed in the background. So when Rock just could not find any more time, it was just something that I expected to do, and I don't think I was challenged because my feeling is, oh my gosh, why did you take so long? you know,
All right.
I mean, I've been waiting here on the sidelines, and so okay. I mean, I could have done this from the very start.
Okay. Thank you so much. Uh,
And you?
oh, okay. Okay. For me, the most challenging thing out of hosting the show really has to do with the technical side of it. I'll be specific. When I hosted one of the guests who experienced a brownout where she lived, and so she couldn't use her
Oh,
laptop. She had to use a smartphone and go on cellular data. Now, it's a good thing that I had her slide deck ahead of time, so I was the one showing her slides. But the thing about Zoom and not being able to show your own slides is that unless you're spotlighted as a speaker, it'll be the host whose face is next to your slides, and it's just your disembodied voice. And so to me, that was one of the most challenging things that I had to smile all the time, like looking like I'm still having fun, but this is awkward because this is not my topic. This is yours, and your face should be here, but it's not.
Though here, and it's raining hard here. I don't know about
same
you,
here,
Boom.
same here, same here.
It's could have could have something to do with that. I don't know. I'm not sure. Uh-uh.
Yeah. Okay,
But
Jet, just in case you're able to hear us, we're about to
Oh,
share topics, so I'm about to call on Boom to share with us.
hello.
Uh,
If I get you,
yeah, uh, like
is the next
if you
speaker?
could have your dream guest show up for season two, somebody here who's accessible or maybe even abroad, but somebody who you think we can reach out to be a guest on the show. Who would you like to interview?
Jonathan Yabut.
Cool.
oh, oh,
Because
oh, because
Well, first of all, he experienced The Apprentice,
mhm,
oh
right?
my,
And I want to ask him how his life has changed,
hmm,
mhm,
um, what he brings to the table now. I also want to ask him stuff like what was he doing before The Apprentice, how he got on it. I want to ask him a lot of things, and
mhm,
it would be cool because not many people know his story
hmm,
mm,
except the
mm,
ones probably who attend the seminar, right?
mm,
So many people know him from The Apprentice, but not before, and not how his life has changed. So there are a lot of questions I could ask him.
mm, mm.
cool. I'd love for you to be able to get your wish. Maybe one of the changes that we could make is aside from mom thinking about programming and who to invite, maybe as host we could also feed ideas to her. And if we know
Sure.
how to reach out to these people, then we could make our wish list come true.
Do
Yeah,
you, do, do you
because
want to know another one?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
go.
please.
Miriam Kembao.
Oh,
Oh
I can
man, wow, yeah.
Yeah,
I can hear,
she's
yeah.
a trainer. She's a
Uh,
trainer consultant also right
yeah.
now.
Okay.
And the same thing with Jonathan and Miriam. I want to know their lives before and
Yeah.
after and all these things. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Mom, how about you? If you had like a magic wand and you could get somebody you know or somebody you admire to go on the show.
I probably invite Dr. Dennis Waitley. So what I can do,
Oh,
well,
wow.
I know that
Agree.
his uh, first of all the time difference, and I know that he's not so young anymore, so it's not that easy to connect with him because when I am awake, he is asleep. In the time difference, U.S. and Philippines. So, but yeah, I'd like to have him on the show. That would be one, and the other one would be John Maxwell to talk about leadership. You know, you go anywhere in the world and they recognize John Maxwell. I just on YouTube, I've seen a lot of his videos, and well, he is a millionaire because for 5 years he revealed the secret. For 5 years, he devoted
Oh wow,
that
that's
time.
thunder.
Yeah, I can hear. He devoted 5 years of his life to studying, doing nothing but learning everything he can about leadership because he already knew it's part of his plan that he will become an expert on leadership and he will spread what he learned all over the world. And guess what? It's happened. He he made his vision come true. His vision was to become a leadership guru. So that would be the top two that I will really invite.
But
Yes.
guess what?
Big, what?
I'm sure Boom and I are rooting for you to be able to invite those two on our show. That'd be absolutely awesome.
Mhm,
Wow.
mhm,
Yes,
Yeah.
Boom.
But before you say your wish list, Dino,
mhm,
I didn't know we were going even a wish list for foreigners. Okay. So
Yeah.
if there's a foreigner I want to ask,
mhm.
Floyd Mayweather.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Floyd
Oh,
Mayweather Jr. No,
oh,
do you know
oh,
why? You
Why?
know him as a boxer, but you don't know him as a businessman. This
oh,
guy is one of the shrewdest, most savvy business people ever. Okay,
oh.
he made his money through boxing, but he like quadrupled, quintupled it. He made it 10 times more by reinvesting the money he made in boxing, and he's now one of the richest men, one of the 100 richest men in America
Mm.
because of the things he did, how he made that money go there. In fact, he was criticizing Manny Pacquiao. He says, "We made almost the same amount of money. How come I'm richer?"
You're right.
Yeah.
No, that's what he says because your
Okay.
investment manager is
Oh.
probably stealing your money. That's what he
Mm,
said. I mean, he was very blunt about it, but I'd like to pick his
Mm-mm.
brain. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, Dino,
yeah,
sorry, I had to add that one.
that's
Yeah.
okay. Now,
So
I'd like to
wait,
give Jet
boom.
a
So
chance
you're
to.
not in Sandali. So boom, you're not interested in inviting Manny Pacquiao.
Not really, not really.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, yeah, why not? Diba? He's Manny Pacquiao, right?
Okay.
He's Manny Pacquiao. Pero if it was a choice between Manny and Floyd,
Mm-mm. Okay.
Floyd Jr. would be my choice because of the business aspect.
Mhm.
I'm not anti-Filipino or anti-Pacquiao, but
Yeah.
I
Okay.
wanna know his business side.
Uh,
What made him one of the richest men in America?
I'd also like to, if it could possibly happen, I'd love to interview Elon Musk because
oh.
he has such vision. Uh,
Mm-mm.
putting people on Mars ahead of NASA,
Mm-mm.
having the world's largest
Mm-mm.
call this battery factory, and of course the world's leading EV factory, electric vehicle factory.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Um,
Tesla.
he would really be such a great guest on the show if it were
Mm-mm.
just possible.
Yeah.
But aside from Johnny Pawi Uy, I'd probably go for somebody like Mike Chua. Mike
Yeah,
Chua,
Oh, okay.
Mike Chus.
former governor, because he has such good instincts for business, and he seems to understand how
Mm-mm.
to pivot during these difficult times. Because
Mm-mm.
I know that he had this computer shop and programming business, also like an accountant, and so he has a good head for business. So I would love to interview him so that he could share some tips for everybody who's trying to pivot and survive during
Mhm.
this new normal. Uh,
How about in Asia? Does anyone want to interview somebody an Asian
Oh,
around
okay,
Asia?
that's a good question.
boom. You know what? I have a thick list of Asian leaders
Mm-hmm.
because as director of PMAP,
Mm-hmm.
well, I represented PMAP all over Asia Pacific. So I do have
Uh-huh.
a list. It's a long list. I have several in mind,
Mm-hmm.
but I would like to start with our local talents because honestly, I've been to many places in the world. I honestly, Boom, I believe very firmly that we have talents here who are incredible. They were just not exposed, not they were
Mhm.
not given the right opportunities. And I believe this is, for me, it is part of our what we call big purpose is that I want to give the first opportunity, the first exposure to our local talents who just were not given that kind of opportunity outside of the country. So let them start here. And because we have YouTube and people will see them there, I'm telling you, even Nelson D, for example, Conrad Favorito, even Boom San Agustin. See, there are
Sino?
just
Sino? Who's that? Who's that?
right, the guru, okay, the marketing sales marketing guru. Because I do believe our our talents here can hold their own if you put them side by side with even the best in the world. We really do have great talents, and I want to do that first. And later on, once we have our own talents here, they're the first in line, then I can put in some of the talents around Asia Pacific, even from US.
Yeah, the most memorable thing when I first hosted the Leader's Edge, and it was Kuya Boom, and you told me about him stuff like he speaks more English than Filipino, and he's a guy who stirs everyone's interest. So I had to catch up, and I just followed your directions, and I kept on praying so that this would be successful, and I guess it was very successful because we had very good rapport. Although I was a little intimidated, but just the same, I just prayed, and I'm very glad everything went on smoothly.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jet. I was wondering, for you, what was the most stressful moment during being a host?
Okay, just one. It's not the person herself because she was really great. She did really great. It was the second time I appeared as a host, and at that time I had an asthma attack, and it was so hot in the room, and I was sweating all over. So I just had to, I just had to roll with the punches, and I just acted as if everything was okay, but in fact I was having a terrible asthma attack. I couldn't breathe, and I just kept on praying in my mind. But okay, and that was also the time when my mom called me for dinner. That's why it got cut.
Um, I was wondering, season two is now upon us, and certainly, what with a whole boatload of guests that will be joining our show. If you had like an Aladdin's lamp, and you could invite pretty much anybody you wanted to interview for the
Yeah.
show, who would you have wanted to interview for season two?
Well, it's actually three. First is Jonathan Yabut because he's my idol of some sort. Yeah, although before I was a little envious, but now I realize that we're two different people, and I could see in that person that he could be a good ally, a very good friend. So I want to interview him. Second, I also want to interview any top CEO of of an established company so that I would get to learn more from him. And of course, third, it's it's all about a personal friend. He's a co-founder of a startup. His name is Patrick Zulueta, and he's a very great guy. And he calls me Kuya. That's why I believe that it'll be very successful. It'll not necessarily be a riot, but it'll be a hit nonetheless. So so I chose him because he's a very interesting guy, a very good conversationalist, and very dapper person too. Unlike me, I'm rugged.
A question I meant to ask you, Jet.
Sure.
especially earlier, was how did you become host of the show, and what do you feel you bring with you to the show that makes you unique?
Yeah, I'm very thankful for this opportunity. For as long as I live, I'd like to be a host of The Leader's Edge, and it was because of Tita Dinah and you that I got to be a host of this show, and I'm very thankful for it. And I guess it could be my uniqueness, my quirks. Before I used to be ashamed of my quirks, but now not anymore because it's the 21st century. It's not the 19th century or even the 18th century in which for just one small mistake you would be guillotined, but now it's acceptable. I'm kind of makulit, so I guess that'll bring energy and vibe to the show, I hope. And I'm also inquisitive.
Okay. Jen, I was wondering, out of all of the shows that you've heard so far from season one, what do you would be your biggest take from all of the lessons that you heard? What was the most valuable thing that you picked up on from the Leader's Edge?
Well, one is change because it's inevitable and we all have to accept it. And now I'm in a phase of my life uh, in which I'm just like one of the guys retrenched from work. But since I have a small business, which is training, and I also do newspaper editing and writing on the side, well, it's for an online Filipino tabloid, and I guess everything will be okay. And I'll be resuming my career as a character actor. It's been sporadic, but I guess this time it'll be constant. And I don't wish for very big roles. I just wish for constant work in which I could be recognized for my acting ability and above all for my pakikisama and my compliance with my director's instructions. Well, it's it's inevitable change, but now I've learned how to embrace it.
Right, sir. Game.
All right. So I've pressed the recording button, and so I'll ask the first question. So, Rock, for you, what was the most memorable episode that you recorded for or you hosted for the show?
Oh, wow. That's a wonderful question, sir. No, kasi for me, everything is memorable. But the one that stuck into my head is with Sir Jerry Plana. In fact, dalawa eh. So kay Sir Jerry Plana, kasi he doesn't have any slides. So we have to do the conversations, the entire show, the entire sessions. So that one is memorable to me kasi I was able to ask something interesting questions that I wasn't able, me then, no, myself don't know that I was that I questioned it. So na-surprise ako sa mga tanong ko and then na-surprise din ako sa mga sagot ni Sir Jerry. Those are the things that I really like. So yeah, that's one. And then second naman is kay Sir Eric Manalo. Yun, well, he's my mentor, but the reason why it's memorable for me kasi he's my mentor and I'm interviewing my mentor. So most of the time kasi 'di ba when you're with your mentor, parang other way around. Ikaw yung tinatanong niya. This one naman, siya yung tinatanong ko. That's why I'm so careful in asking questions. Uh, yun nung naiisip ko na sabi ko, wow, this is something different. And then, yung sharing niya sa akin, and then, yung learning din as well, no, as a participant or as a viewer, may natutunan ako. And then, as a interviewer, may natutunan din ako. So, those are really memorable for me.
Outstanding. In fact, I witnessed that sense of unease and at the same time delight that you were feeling. Another question I meant to ask is, out of all the episodes that you hosted and possibly watched, Which one gave you the best take home?
The best take home for me is Nelson D. That's the because Sir Nelson is a process freak like mine, and the way he talk, showing the processes on how to be able to solve the problem, and then sharing some tools that he based on his expertise, that gave me an idea on how to. In fact, it gives me another knowledge on how to improve my process kasi naka-pick up ako ng panibagong processes doon eh. For me kasi process is the key, no? And then we are now living into parang in the era na where process is really parang the the key to everything. So yun, Sir Nelson D, ang dami kong takeaway doon, lalo na yung 5 whys, and then the the something I forget what it's called, no, pero kasi in-apply niya yung knowledge niya about Six Sigma eh. Doon sa process and applying it into the normal problem, which is what I appreciate the most. Yun, sir.
Cool. Indeed, there are so many things we can learn from our guests.
Mhm.
A question would be, what was for you a stressful situation as a host?
Okay, a stressful situation as a host, in fact, is first is preparation. Yun ang really stressful for me, and kasi may dami mong intindihin, no, as an interviewee, for the interviewer, technical sides, and then also when you're launching it live pa, ang dami mong inaintindi. Pero sa akin, and then during, parang the how I organize it is something like this: preparations, during, and then after. Yun yung what's parang challenge sa akin. Yung preparations again for the interviewer, for the interviewee, and then yung questions ko, sasakto ba? Sometimes kasi nag-ready na ako ng mga questions, pero along the way, oops, hindi pala siya applicable. So I have to, you have to parang ignite ko yung critical thinking ko, gamitin critical thinking ko, and then I should ask appropriate questions based on a particular agenda or yung topic. And then, during the live telecast na, ang challenges naman dito is yung internet connections. Yun ang problema ko, internet connections. And then, naririnig ba yung sound? Is it clear? May lagging ba? And then, of course, yung sasabihin mo in front of the audience or with your interviewee. And then you have another mind mo is, oops, there are a lot of people watching, baka may mali akong natanong. So, kabado ako doon, di ba? So, ang daming things na goes to my head during the live show kasi doon na yun na yung show niya, and mahirap na siyang bawiin. And then after that, which is yun na archiving and how to review all the questions, and then parang nagpo-postmortem kasi ako eh. Yung postmortem is something like I studied what is good will I be doing moving forward. Okay, so yung something like I need to stop, kumbaga, I'm observing my questions, the way I speak, yung mga movements ko, in-observe ko yun, and then internet connections, and then check ko din yung engagements, yung mga questions nila, kung paano ko sila engage moving forward, kasi parang hindi sila sometimes parang may mga questions or something like command tayo or asking them to participate yung audience is, yun ang mga something like I need to figure out moving forward on how to, create an engagements. And then archiving, yun pa, another problem is, of course, since this is a live streaming, kailangan ko pa i-edit yung mga imperfections and then edit down para pag na-trim na siya, pag in-upload na sa YouTube, it's more professional siya. Kumaga mas malinis, and yeah, parang you're watching movie na lang without those unnecessary commentaries. Yun, sir. So
I
those are the
agree.
challenges in my entire experience.
A question that everyone else seemed to really like when I asked it before was, if you had like Aladdin's lamp and you could pretty much interview anyone you could for season 2. I heard
Mhm.
stuff like Elon Musk, even Stephen Covey, although that was quickly corrected because Stephen Covey just passed away. So he, he had to rethink his answer. So, like for you, like if you could, if it were just possible, who would you wish to talk to on season two?
For the season 2, in fact, I'd like to talk to it's a good question, no? In fact, mga modern na eh, something like si Chris Do, which is I follow. He's into creatives, and his words of wisdom is really ahead of our time in terms of creatives. So that's one person that I like to talk with, and then also the author of it starts with Y, Simon Sinek. Okay, because he gives a deep meaning in my thinking, and when I read his book, and I get interested into that one already. So those are the two, and then last one um, is si what's this the IDEO founder, si Kelly. I really want to talk to him because he's the founder of IDEO, which and then he is the modern father or modern in design thinking. Okay, siya yung nag-isip ng design thinking on how to apply this into business. So I really want to get his thoughts about design thinking processes and how he was able to conceptualize this methodology, and which he used in all his design projects, and now he's using it into business, and now they're using it um, into human, I mean, which is that's where they started the word human-centered design. So those are the three personalities that I really want to talk with, and yun ang pinaka-dream ko. So pag nakausap ko yun, hindi ko lang alam kung ano mangyayari. Baka may starstruck ako at hindi ako makapagtanong. I just listen to them na lang. The entire show.
In case that happens, just let us know. We could sub for you so that you could just bask and delight in their responses. The last question that I asked the others were,
I remember that, David.
what advice would you have for an aspiring host or anybody who's young, who's dreaming about someday hosting a show? Is there any special words of encouragement that you have for them?
Thank you, sir, for asking me these questions. In fact, if you're for those who are aspiring to be host or really good in speaking, I suggest to start it now. Start it now and try to do a lot of mistakes, because those mistakes are the areas of that you need to improve. Well, in my mentality, fail fast so you can fix the problem fast. You will never learn from sitting down there and watching and observing people, but you will learn from experience. And yes, experience is still the best teacher. And of course, whatever you have learned in your mentor and your coach, if that's a good additions, but again, it's a different outtake or a different take every every time you apply it. In my experience in doing this live stream, every interview is unique. There is no similar experience. If you're gonna ask me, kinakabahan ba ako in every time I interview and every time I do my public speaking? Yes, kinakabahan po ako until now. I'm still nervous. So ibig sabihin, pag hindi ako kinabahan, kabahan na ako. Okay, so it's part of my learning that I don't look at way na magaling na ako in interviewing in public speaking. Kasi the moment you realize that you're good, that's the end of it. That's your dead end. So being a good host or being a public speaker is a lifelong learning. Every you need to reflect in every engagement that you have, saan ka nagkamali, ano yung good points, and those are the areas that you need to improve whenever you encountered some, mga hiccups. But then again, if you really want to jump into this, I ask you to jump now. Jump now. Don't wait
Great.
for next year na lang ako. Next year, or maybe pagkaibigan ko na ganito, yeah, aabot ang time, tatanda ka, and you will regret it, and you don't want that to happen.
Wow. All right. So, we heard for season one, your signature goodbye line, which Good evening. Welcome to the Leader's Edge. And tonight we have a special show just for our fans. It's called the Hosts Only episode. Tonight we explore the experiences of our various hosts to the show, including that.
So lahat kami nangangarap kami maging regular employee, but that never happened. I have to improve my attitude. I have to keep learning. Mahirap po, pero I went out my comfort zone. And then blood, sweat, and tears, just like a success story ninyo, and which made me where I am now. It's all because making that simple decision.
Let me ask you, I'm sure you are experiencing now even beyond what you imagined, correct? Oh, see? Because once you start moving in the right direction, pataas, no? I mean, it will just go, it will propel you to greater heights. Even if it is not yet true, you think, you believe, then you act like it is true. It will come true.
You're already earning money.
These are the perceptions of the members.
So you're afraid to go out to your comfort zone.
It's from the media.
You should go out outside your comfort zone. So take a leap.
Good news normally are in the back pages. And if we are not wise enough, our thinking will be influenced by what we are bombarded on a daily basis.
And show them the right way. Because I believe everyone's here have a winning edge. Thank you.
Wait.